I'm gonna be 100% honest and serious. Now, a lot of people are gonna say that you're reaching, bro, but I'm just, it's crazy how, you know, TKO cuts people who aren't seen as valuable, and the creative team with WWE makes sure that people are no longer valuable because of the way they get booked, the way that they have these turns, the way they have face turns and heel turns, tag team formations, tag team breakups, and then they lead to absolutely nothing. I just think that it's all sabotage at the end of the day. It gets to a point to where it becomes a pattern. It gets to a point to where it becomes something that is hard not to notice when people get fired or people get released or whatever. And TKO cuts people who they don't feel are used in an important or significant role. But then you got Triple H not knowing what to do with the talent, and then him getting praised, him crapping all over the critics, quote unquote critics, who are just fans who care about the talent. It becomes a pattern. It becomes a very deadly cycle of enabling and glaze and over appreciation, because the New Day have been booked disgustingly for so long, and it got to a point to where TKO themselves saw how long these people were in the company and still decided to try to cut their contracts in half, even though that the New Day have been already signed their multi-year deal. So TKO, they saw how they were being used, which is, not their fault. It's Triple H's fault. He's the one booking the tag teams into oblivion. He's been the one who has put very low effort, not just into everything else on TV, but especially the tag team division. And he was he was the main one picking the people to be released, and tag team division on SmackDown has been gutted, especially the Motor City Machine Guns, who are still one of my favorite tag teams of all time, besides Paul London and Brian Kendrick, and the Usos and Ricochet and Evan Bourne and New Japan and the mighty Don't Kneel. But it really pisses me off how people will sit there and how they'll say that, Triple H's cooking is just wait, just be patient. Because whenever we are patient and we wait, someone either ends up buried, someone either ends up in catering, somebody ends up on the unemployment line. Or someone just decides to leave. But still, the dude never gets criticism. It's always, well, it's better than WWE 2019. Are we sure about that at this point, bro? I don't know, bro. I feel like WWE 2019 WWE. I mean, it was still horrible after WrestleMania 35. But I don't know. It's really not looking good in 2026. The New Day's heel run in 2024, December 2024, it was one of the best heel turns. Like, as far as their heel turns, well, when they turned on Big E, Triple H nailed it. He wrote that thing down to a T, to the point where that's still memorable. That's still an epic moment that you can go back and watch. But then he didn't know how to follow up with it, so he kept them on TV for 28 days. And then, just for them to have their first match as heels, they lose in a 6-man tag. Lose. Even Lil Yachty even got involved and had them lose. And then on top of that, Kofi Kingston had his first singles match as a heel, and then he lost. That was January 2nd, 2025. And then the Vikings versus it was the Vikings and the New Day and Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio. They beat the New Day, and then the New Day beat one of the other teams, so it was 50-50 booking. And then they won the tag team championships at WrestleMania for just a cheap pot, because they didn't even have any plans for them, because after they won those championships at WrestleMania 41, they were off TV for an eternity until May. So they were kept off TV for a month and 8 days. So yeah, 38 days as champs not being on TV. That's a great way to book heels. Yeah, totally. Have them lose a bunch, not gain any momentum as these new heels that we just saw them have this incredible heel turn on Big E. You know, that's what I mean. It's sabotage, dude. It's sabotage. There's no other way to say it. You make someone a heel, have them have one of the best heel runs in forever, and then you just stunt their growth. It's like 2 steps forward and 1,000 steps back. Because the Viking Raiders beat the Judgment Day for the tag team championships, and then the New Day beat the Vikings for the championships at WrestleMania, and then the Judgment Day, who are heels, beat the New Day, which are heels for the tag team championships. So it just went 360. Meaningless tag loss for no reason. The New Day got ruined just like that for no reason by other heels. That's what I mean, bro. That's exactly what I mean. I think it was June 30th of 2025, and I think that was the last time they've actually had because May 2026, that was their last victory. The last time the New Day won a match was May 2025. They got released in May 2026, so not like almost a year to the day that they were released, they had their final victory. And then they went on to have these, you might not remember this, but they had a mourning thing when they were mourning their tag team championship reign, and then they were dressed in all black, and they were dressed like they were going to a funeral every week. But then even that got run into the ground because they were feuding with Penta. And I remember Penta, it became a meme of Penta putting on Xavier Woods' oversized hat and throwing it like a Frisbee. And that was like one of the, bro, it was like a nail in the coffin for the New Day, bro. And then they got paired with Grayson Waller. And then Grayson Waller, dude, I don't know. I'm concerned for Grayson Waller. There's so many things that Triple H sabotaged the hell out of these guys. And TKO, Mark Shapiro said, yeah, we don't try to lower their contracts unless they're not being used significantly on TV like that. You know, if they're being used in a way to where nobody cares about them, me and the rest of TKO are going to lower the contracts. And that's what they did. Well, at least they tried to. The New Day the New Day walked away with their dignity. The New Day said, yeah, we're not doing that. And apparently both Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston were already in the middle of their multi-year deal, worth 7 figures. But we don't know if it's for both of them or each of them individually. But most likely it was, both of them together because they left on mutual terms because they were going to get lowballed. But it's ridiculous. It's truly ridiculous. It's so crazy. Oh man, this is unacceptable. I truly feel like they were sabotaged. Like there's no other way around it. And then the last singles match I've seen from Kofi Kingston was him losing to Javon Evans by the help of Offset from the Migos. One of the Migos, bro. Offset. So Offset cost Kofi Kingston his final victory. That's crazy, bro. I don't know, bro. Like Kofi, bro. I know Vince is, and people get mad whenever Vince is brought up. See, and the thing with Vince is, of course, the dude lost his touch. Like he booked some pretty terrible television for the past decade. His last decade in charge, of course. But people often forget the fact that the dude had 40 something years of history before 2010. A lot of people just say, well, to be honest, let's not forget how bad Vince was back then, like in 2010 and so. But I'm like, bro, like, do you not realize Vince was around booking these shows, building stars, making people like Stone Cold, that the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression Era? They just ignore all that and say, well, Vince, like those 40 plus years before then didn't exist. Just to say that Triple H is the better booker. No stars have been built since Triple H has been in charge. Nobody. No stars have been built or at like even Roman said it. Like it's and that's why Roman's working with Paul Heyman and not Triple H on this storyline with Jacob Fatu. I can't. I know the dude. I know Vince is just punching the air, right? Punching the wall, because he's got enough money to repair it. I know he's punching because he loved the New Day. He loved Kofi Kingston. He gave him that moment at WrestleMania 35. Now, what happened 6 months later on October 4th on the SmackDown debut on Fox was another story. But at least he gave him that moment at WrestleMania, So just to see how terribly Triple H just did the New Day was honestly very heartbreaking. And I honestly thought they were lifers. But that was pretty foolish of me to think so. But I'm pretty sure I'm like the only person in the world who thought that Kofi and Xavier were lifers. Yeah, and it's just like people, whenever you criticize something, like I criticized the New Day's booking on social media one time because I said that the New Day deserved better. And they were like, well, would you rather prefer 2019? And I was like, well, yeah, Kofi was WWE champion. What are you talking about? But yeah, like that's how people think. Like they'll hear you criticize Triple H and his booking, and then they'll say, well, at least it's not as bad as 2019. At least it's not as bad as 2019. Remember 2019? Oh my gosh, remember 2019 WWE? Oh, at least we're not in that WWE. You better be grateful we're not in this WWE. Stop hating. Be patient. And I'm like, bro, I am patient. And look what happened. They're gone. I was patient with the Wyatt Six. Look what happened. They're gone. I was told that I was a hater because I said the Motor City Machine Guns deserve better. Look what now. They're gone. I was told that Jeffrey Cobb, I was told I was a hater because I said Jeff Cobb deserved better in WWE, but he's just an NPC in the MFTs. And guess what? He's gone. Whenever I'm told to be patient about something, I'm always right. I don't like being right about negative garbage. It's not even negative. It's just criticism, and then that's another thing about this generation. Everyone's soft. So whenever you don't like something that somebody else likes, it's hate. It's just not the truth. I just don't understand it. But yeah, like as far as people bringing up 2019 over and over and over again, like, is that the only thing you have? Is that the only argument you have? Whenever I criticize something about Triple H booking, well, you remember Vince in 2019? Well, of course I do. Because that's when Kofi Kingston was WWE champion. Remember that? And now he's losing his last match on TV, his last singles match on TV to Offset and Javon Evans. Okay. All right. Talking about 2019. Like, who think you are, Penguin Zero? Talking about some. Oh, bro, it's the same cope every time. 2019. Remember 2019? At least not as bad as 2019. At least bad as 2019. At least, honestly, I think it's worse. Almost every star I can think of is off worse now than they were in 2019. And that's crazy to say, but no stars have been built by Triple H. Stars have been inherited by Triple H, created by Vince, but no. And of course Shawn Michaels down in NXT. But other than that, I think it was an interview. It was Shawn and Triple H, and Triple H said, "Yeah, well, you know how the gig goes. You make them, we steal them. Yeah, but the only problem is you steal them and do nothing with them." Kofi Kingston is gone. Xavier Woods is gone, and that's not okay. That's unacceptable.